Are you ready for required minimum distributions? Many people miss some critical components of this tax trap, especially married couples. The hardest thing about planning for RMDs is you've got to plan 20 years in advance. So I'm going to show you 4 mistakes I see a lot of people make. I'm going to show you how to fix them, and I'm even going to give you a free spreadsheet so you can run some of these numbers yourself. If you're new to the channel, my name is Ben. I've been a financial advisor focusing on retirement planning for almost 20 years, and I want to help you have an even better retirement. Let's dive into our spreadsheet. All right, so just a brief tour of this spreadsheet. We use green and gold, which seems pretty appropriate for a financial planning channel. It also reminds me of my childhood. This was the color of all the appliances in my grandma's kitchen growing up, so really brings me home. I'll direct your attention to the top here. We've got our age, starting balance, our return that we're going to apply. We've got our pre-RMD balance, our IRS divisor. That's what calculates your RMD, your actual RMD, and then your ending balance. Now, I've made this sheet totally customizable for you. You can adjust your rate of return here on the side. Historical rate of return for 60/40, the traditional retirement portfolio, is anywhere from 7 to 9% on a 100-year plan. So we can look at that. You probably don't want to have a 1% return. We probably want to be closer in here. Of course, that's no guarantee. And then we have our starting balance. You can go anywhere from 0 to $1 billion, I suppose. For this example, we're going to have $1 million. So really the only components of the spreadsheet that you'll want to manipulate are the rate of return and our starting balance. Also direct your attention down here. We've got 73 and 75. If you were born between 1951 and 1959, your RMDs are going to start at 73. If you were born 1960 or later, your RMDs are going to start at 75. Now, if you're an optimist and you look at this chart and say, it was sure nice of the IRS to give us a few more years to collect RMDs, who might rain on your parade? Let's assume that that's the case. But if you're a bit of a pessimist and you say, gosh, the IRS, by moving the RMD dates, they're forcing us to take more income through a smaller period of time, essentially increasing our taxes. If that's the case, trust your instincts, honestly. So mistake number 1 I see folks make is they underassume how much their RMDs will actually be. Now, would you believe that if you're 60 years old today and you've got $1 million in your IRA, your first RMD at 75 is going to be almost 6 figures, almost $100,000. Let's look at the chart. Age 60, $1 million. We've got a 7% rate of return. Again, no guarantees, but that's pretty close to the historical rate of return for 60/40. And we've got our rate of return here all the way until age 75. Look at that, $104,000. So depending on age, it could be anywhere from $90,000 to $104,000, depending on your rate of return as well. So that's the first big thing that I see people underestimate, is actually how much compounding can be done in the first 10 years of retirement. If we're not touching our IRA funds, if we're deferring those taxes, those RMDs are going to grow pretty quickly because that account balance is growing quickly. That's the other mistake I see people make when they're under assuming how much their RMDs are going to be. A lot can happen in a decade. So even if you're taking out, let's say 4% a year, I'm going to move this to 8%. At an 8% return, maybe you're taking 4% for yourself, like the 4% safe withdrawal rule, and then 4% is left to grow. We're still going to have significant market growth. So we're going to go from $1 million to anywhere from $2 to $3 million by the time we start our required minimum distributions, and our RMD is going to be anywhere from 100,000 to maybe 130,000, 120,000, somewhere in there. So never underestimate how much compounding can happen in a decade if the markets are doing well. So mistake number 2 that I see people make is that they defer taxes too long in the name of saving money on taxes. Well, it's true during your accumulation years, if we defer taxes by contributing to a 401k, that helps us out in the accumulation phase. But in the distribution phase, if we defer taxes too long, that all but guarantees we're going to be paying more in taxes. Oftentimes it makes sense to reach forward into future years, even if we don't need the income, and pull those cash flows forward and pay less taxes on a smaller balance, spending or through structured Roth IRA conversions. So I'll show you an example. While it's true you don't have to take any money out of your account until 73 or 75, depending on age, the longer you wait, the more it's going to be, because it's based on your account balance, which if we're investing, the theory would be we're going to have more money over time. So you can see with this RMD divisor, we go from 100,000 to 150,000 to 200,000 to 250,000 to 300,000, and so on and so forth. So the longer we wait, the more taxes we're going to pay, because we're squeezing an ever increasing amount of income through a smaller timetable, which forces us to pay more taxes. So does it make sense to reach into the future and pull those cash flows forward? In many cases, it does. Mistake number 3 I see people make is they misunderstand how quickly your RMDs can grow. So your RMD really grows in 2 ways. Your divisor goes down and your investment account balance goes up. So RMDs are based on the year-end values of December 31st of the previous year. And while your divisor starts relatively high, it goes down with age, which drives up the amount that we have to take out every year. So we're going backwards two ways. Our divisor is going down, and in theory, our investment account balance is going up. I'll show you what it means in the sheet here. So we start with our divisor at 26. Basically, we're taking our starting balance divided by 26, and that's determining our RMD. But then notice our divisor goes from 26 down to 20 by the time that we're 80. Well, that's driving up our RMD. Also notice that our end balance is growing because we're earning positive investment returns. So we go from 26 on the divisor down to 20 by the time we're 80. We're down closer to 15 by the time we're 86. And we're down closer to 10 by the time we're in our 90s. So we go from dividing by 26 to dividing by 10 over the course of our lifetime. So that's one way that we can really pay a lot more in taxes, is that our divisor is going down, and the other way is that our investments are going up. Again, even though we are retired and we're living off of the money, we still have 30 years of retirement to compound. So that number can get away from us pretty quickly. I mentioned in the introduction that the hardest part about planning for RMDs is you've got to do it 20 years before you need to. You've got to plan for these RMDs 20 years before it becomes a problem. If we look at the spreadsheet, maybe $100,000 of income is something that's manageable for you. But if we wait too long, it's not long until we have $200,000, $250,000, $300,000. If you don't need $300,000 worth of income, it really doesn't matter. The RMD calculation says that you have to take it whether you need it or not, and you've got to pay income taxes on that. So if we wait until a $300,000 income is a problem, there's not a lot that we can do about it in that moment. But if we're proactive when we plan 20 years ahead of time, and we either spend that money or we give it away or we do something like a Roth IRA conversion, we can right size our investment account balance in our IRAs, which right sizes then the affiliated RMDs. So something we got to be on top of significantly in advance. And that brings us to mistake number 4, something we call the widow's tax. And in this example, we're passing it through married filing jointly income tax return. We start as a team and we end as an individual. As sad as that sounds, that's the reality. So a $304,000 income through married filing jointly could be manageable, but once we've dropped to single filer status, we lose a lot in the form of income tax breaks. So when the spouse dies, we lose a significant amount with our marginal brackets. They're essentially cut in half. We lose a lot with our IRMA brackets. That's the extra amount we have to pay for Medicare. That's reduced significantly, and in fact, almost cut in half. And we lose a lot of that standard deduction, again, almost cut in half. So there's really 3 ways that our taxes go up, but a lot of people don't realize that our income might not go down much at all. In fact, if we've maximized our Social Security and we've got a required minimum distribution, when the first spouse passes away, the small Social Security check goes away. So really our income might not change at all. The primary drivers of that income are going to be maxed out Social Security and our RMD, now passing that through what was a married filing jointly return down to a single filer status return. So we can have a big tax impact, and we call that the widow's tax. Now, those are the 4 mistakes we see people make with their RMDs. How do we fix it? Well, we shoot for something called the perfect RMD. Now, what is the perfect RMD? Well, it's an RMD that satisfies itself automatically based on the income we were going to take out anyway. So I'll give you an example. Let's say you'd like $100,000 of retirement income. Well, the perfect RMD for you would be a $90,000 RMD. I was planning on taking out $100,000 anyway, and my RMD is $90,000. It satisfies itself. I'll give you an example of an imperfect RMD. Let's take that same income. I'd like $100,000 a year in income, but I deferred taxes for too long, and my RMD is $150,000 plus my Social Security. Now I have a whole bunch more income that I don't need, meaning I have to pay a whole bunch more taxes that I don't want to pay, and those taxes would be otherwise avoidable if we had acted soon enough. And what is that action? Well, that's often Roth IRA conversions. And in fact, we even have a Roth IRA conversion sweet spot, and that's really any time between retirement and age 63. 63 is when the IRS is going to start keeping track of your income for IRMA. That's the extra amount we might have to pay for Medicare. So we have much more leeway to make larger Roth conversions between the day we retire and 63 when they start keeping track of your income. So that's the first way we solve for the perfect RMD, is we right size our IRA. So just to give you a hypothetical example of what that might look like, if we've got $1 million at age 60, well, based on this spreadsheet, we'd have $3 million at age 76, which would require us to have $129,000 RMD. Well, let's say that we want only $100,000 RMD because that's what our retirement income is. Well, then we need to right size our portfolio to account for that by moving money into a Roth IRA over time. So we're trying to get that number under 100,000. Let's say over the course of many years, we do a $200,000 Roth conversion, which means our balance is no longer $1 million, it's 800,000. The other 200,000 is in our Roth, and we go back to our attempt at a perfect RMD, and here we are now back much closer to $100,000. So by moving money from our IRA to our Roth, we're removing that portion from RMDs. We're essentially moving money from our right pocket to our left pocket. Our net worth stays about the same minus taxes. And by doing so, we voluntarily pay more taxes now with the idea of paying significantly less taxes later. That's what Roth conversions are all about. And Roth conversions are how we facilitate the perfect RMD. So we don't spike our income and spike our income taxes, because nobody likes to do that. So be sure to check in the video description, grab this spreadsheet for yourself, run the numbers, look at your starting balance, look at your rate of return, play with the numbers, and look to see if you're going to have the perfect RMD or not. If you don't, now you've got a way to fix it through doing some things like Roth conversions. So I sure hope this video helped make your retirement even better. My name is Ben. I hope to see you in the next video. And if you love this video, I think you'll love this video next.